primary ignition.
This is Star Wars.
Look out!
Core World News.
You may fire when ready.
From the bright center of the galaxy, I'm Grex Kondak, and you're listening to Core World News, your whole-net news service providing in-depth coverage of the latest stories from every sector of the galaxy. Now, for your news segment rundown from March 15th, 2023. Fistful of Beskar. We now go live to the CDM newsroom to join us, Ben Granadadam, for the review of Chapter 19, The Mandalorian.
All right, thank you very, very much, Grex. Welcome, everyone, to another week of Core World News. We're on time this week. This is Wednesday, recording it the day that both Bad Batch and The Mandalorian came out. It's great to see you. This week, we are just going to cover the Mandalorian episode, and we will do a double episode of Bad Batch next week. I think that'll work out actually pretty great. Hope you've been watching Bad Batch. It's another fantastic season. A lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
But first,
we decided to record on Bendu Day, and we didn't wait for Taungsdays. So
yeah, Taungsdays. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah. Bringing it to you on the day. It's the day the episode released. We all watched it this morning. Did our due diligence. Yeah. Excited to talk about it. So many questions, so many Easter eggs, so much lore in this episode.
Yeah. We kind of got two stories, and I've
got my milky water and travel biscuits. I'm ready to go.
Nice, dude. Nice.
Yeah.
Do you want to just start right off with a roundup?
Do we have a summary? Do we have a summary for this? I think we do, guys.
Yes.
It might be long in the tooth though.
Right?
Like
that's all right. I made this your background music track extra long just for Andrew.
But this is Mandalorian Chapter 19. The Convert, directed by Lee Isaac Chung, incredible director, directed Minari. If you haven't seen that movie, I highly recommend it. It's an incredible story. It's got Steve Ewan, the sensational actress Yu Jung is in that too. She has an explosive career after that. She's like just in everything. Love to see her. He did such an incredible job with this episode. But let's dive into the summary. Din awakens to find Bo and Grogu gathered around. When Bo asks if Din recollects anything from his spill into the living waters, he admits seeing nothing aside from the walls of the dark chasm as he sank to the bottom. With Bo as his witness and a vial of living waters of proof, Din is satisfied with his near-fatal bathing in the mines, and the three of them return to Kalevala. On approach to Kalevala, a squadron of TIE interceptors ambush Bo's ship and a chase begins. Bo descends down to the verdant and craggy surface to weave between various mountains and rock formations to shake the ties. In a daring move, Bo flies over her castle so Din can free fall towards the landing pad, recover his N1, and reinforce Bo in the sky. With both Mandalorians in their ships, the TIEs don't stand a chance. One by one, Bo and Mando take out the attacking TIEs. But when victory seems to be at hand, a fiery explosion blossoms in the distance, and Bo and Din discovered Bo's castle's been bombed to ruin. Angered by the destruction of her home, Bo pursues the bombers responsible, but just as she begins her assault, a wave of TIE interceptors blot out the sky and descend on our Mandalorian heroes. Outnumbered, Din and Bo make the jump to light speed to escape. Din leads Bo to the sand-swept desert planet that's home to the armorer's covert. Once there, Din proves they both bathed in the living waters, and the armorer welcomes both Din and Bo back into the old covert of the old ways. At the Opera House on Coruscant, Dr. Penn Pershing is giving a TED Talk about his previous research in the cloning and genetic engineering. He takes a stance that what has been learned from the Kaminoans and his research could greatly benefit the New Republic, especially when it comes to cloning organs and other medical applications. After the event, Dr. Pershing takes a pleasant taxi ride back to the Amnesty housing. After filling his psychological evaluation, Pershing joins the other Amnesty candidates in the courtyard to enjoy some beverages and talk about what they missed from the old days serving the Empire. Among the officers he meets, he recognizes Officer G68. Who had served on Moff Gideon's ship. Pershing mentions he misses the travel biscuits and retires to his quarters. The next day, Pershing finds a box of the same Imperial travel biscuits outside his door. Spending more time with Officer G68, once known as Officer Elia Kane, It's clear she brought him the biscuits, and while they stroll and chat in the market square and back at Amnesty Housing, she entices him with more luxuries of his old life, such as equipment and a mobile lab to continue his research, which he exclaims would be good for the New Republic. Becoming more and more jaded by the needlessly complicated bureaucracy of the New Republic and in orders to destroy perfectly adequate Imperial technology, Pershing finally agrees to join Officer G68 in an escapade to retrieve science equipment outside their designated perimeter. After sneaking on a speeder train, G68 reveals she's bringing him to the Imperial disposal yards. Once there, they break into the inoperable Star Destroyer inside. They find an onboard science lab. Pershing begins to collect tools and equipment. Just as the two make their escape, flashlights can be seen in the next corridor, and New Republic security appear and arrest Pershing. When Officer G68 is not put in binders, Pershing realizes he's been set up. In a deeply troubling scene, Pershing is then hooked up to a mind flayer and goes through electrolysis to eliminate trauma that has been hampering his rehabilitation. When the Amnesty Program official leaves the room, Officer G68 turns up the voltage and watches Pershing writhe in pain. The end. Started with Mando's story, finished with Pershing's story.
Yeah.
Though the Mando story does complete after the Pershing story.
No, I appreciated you kind of
like that.
separating them out. Grant, that was excellent. Do you want to hear my summary? Yeah, there's a lot. Do you want to hear my summary?
Let me hear your 7-word summary.
Hey, they got some Andor in my Mandor.
Yeah, that happened. Guys.
Sorry.
Just dealing with the nitty gritty of the bureaucracy of the New Republic, and these sort of like people in rehabilitation going through the system is very Andor. It just feels very Andor when you watch this episode.
Yeah,
but I think it's executed in a great way. It's basically it has more alien species in the mix, which I really respected. Like there's Mon Calamari talking to him, like in multiple speaking roles, talking to Pershing throughout his sort of amnesty, dealing with the amnesty program. That's cool. It just felt more, I guess, the galaxy felt larger, and there felt like there was more diversity on Coruscant. Which
agreed. Nice. Yeah, that's what I noticed. Is there's just so many non-humans and aliens in there, and like you said, talking rules ever. It's great. Yeah, I really liked how they showed us Coruscant in the Mandoverse.
Yeah, there's some beautiful symmetry to those Coruscant pieces too, because one, you have Andor during High Empire's rule, and we know that they're fairly fascist and humanist, and they kind of banish other alien species. It's pretty much just humans, and then we get to see the actually the beginnings of the New Republic. I mean, it could actually be the nicest of the New Republic ever was, really. And I mean, so it's there's a nice parallel there, and maybe the aliens were sort of kind of help tell that story, the non-humans rather. So yeah, that's pretty fun. And then I mean, also if anyone's read the Aftermath series, a lot of this is covered in Aftermath. So it was good to hear those callbacks to that, just keeping the synergy alive, and the current canon alive. I got to keep an eye on Filoni, man, because he does whatever he wants. But you get a little tidbit there about them disarming the Rebel Alliance as well. Like it's not, not just
decommissioning the Rebel fleet.
The Rebel fleet, exactly, which is something that happens. It's kind of a questionable call. And they're kind of doing their best, but pretty fun. Love
to see that golden blue flag just waving
Mm-hmm.
on the top of that building. That was so cool.
Yeah.
Love that stuff. Cool to see those like psychological eval scenes. Like those were neat to see, and like it just makes you question. Should there be a political show about the New Republic and sort of like how they're guiding this giant machine out of the tyranny of the Empire and into sort of this more progressive, more egalitarian, governing system? Like, what does that look like? That's so fascinating to me. And are they making all the right decisions? Because I think after watching this episode, there's a lot of moral quandaries that are just arise that you're like, maybe is this right? Like, should we use this Mitigator 68 electrolysis machine? Like, is this okay?
I'm gonna say no. This is just. This makes a very strong argument for anti-bureaucracy, regardless of where the bureaucracy is developed or where it comes from. Is that a machine's gonna machine, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, they go into that a lot in Aftermath, this sort of the problems, and it's, we get Mon Mothma's point of view a lot in that series, and she, every single decision she makes gets questioned.
Yeah.
And by Leia, by everyone. So, I mean, they didn't. It is a little sad to me because it wasn't a perfect system, but I guess they knew they had to have a sequel trilogy eventually, so the wheels were going to come off sooner or later. But I think generally they're enjoying it. But that's the toughest one, Grant. I'd love to see a story like that because it's like, what is freedom? I mean, what is a perfect system? No one knows what that is. I mean, it'd be great to see a more utopic society, and maybe after, I don't know. I don't think we'll ever see it in Star Wars, honestly, because wars is in the name. So that's just it's the choice that they're going to make. And even after Rise of Skywalker, I think there's still going to be remnants of the First Order that they're going to have to battle, and then who knows what comes after that, and then the Chiss, and then what there's going to be wars. There's just too many.
That's people. Right. I kind of hope they go extra galactic or just Sith, and just like I love the idea of the Empire, but I'm done. I'm done with the Empire and the post Empire. I mean, let me get this straight. Like, I like it in Mando, but like in terms of we're looking at timeline, post Rise of Skywalker, let's retire the stormtroopers.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting because this happens after the Battle of Jedha. Again, that happens in the Aftermath series, and that I believe that is 5 years after the Battle of Yavin, so 2 years after Return of the Jedi. And now we're 9 years after the Battle of Yavin. So, so there really shouldn't be much left. That Battle of Jedha was supposed to wipe out the majority of pretty much all of the Empire that was still remaining.
Right. Yeah. Well, we do have a hint that there's Imperial warlords that are still out there operating.
Yes, which is fun.
So let me read you a little equation I wrote. That's a lot of ships. That's a lot of ships for an Imperial warlord. Plus TIE intercepts equals Thrawn.
Yeah, 100%. So I wanted to get there with you guys, but let's do it now. Let's do it now. Let's dig into it a little bit. First of all, if we're just going to cover the TIE interceptor stuff and all that stuff, can we just give a shout out to Grogu, who gives the "I have a bad feeling about this" line that feels like a beat of just like silence, where Mando and Bo are just like staring at him, but it's like you can totally tell he's feeling that the interceptors are on their tail, and it's definitely go back and watch the episode.
Good call, because he makes a.
I gotta rewatch that because I thought he was saying this is the way again. I thought he was.
I was thinking I have a bad feeling. I thought that was.
That's really funny. I like that. I like that
interpretation a lot. You're totally right, because he makes this weird noises. Just like quack, quack.
Yeah.
He's just staring. But then those interceptors descend on them, and there's too many for just your everyday warlord. So it's got to be someone else, and it's got to be Thrawn. And I would love the angle that Thrawn is trying to save or basically fortify this cloning operation and reinstate the Empire, because he wants conflict to happen in this galaxy, so his people can thrive outside it. I gotta think that's the angle. Like, create as much conflict in the galaxy as possible, so my people are left unaffected.
I like that story a lot. I love that angle.
If you're gonna bring cloning into the Mandoverse, which they obviously clearly are, and you're going to bring Thrawn in, as we know, and it leads to the Emperor's cloning. It's got to be Thrawn, right? It's got to all connect together, because you can't do it without Thrawn because of the old EE. You can't leave him.
It'd also be fun to play Thrawn against the cloning, the contingency plan. That would be fun too.
Yeah.
It's almost more fun and writes itself if he's helping the contingency plan to create conflict in this galaxy, and so his people.
He could do both of those things, Grant. Right? Because first of all, like, do we know there's more cloning? Because we saw at the end of this episode a pretty definitive move by a shadow actor to destroy everything that Dr. Pershing knows.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, that's...
Do we see a convert in this episode? Like, do we actually, aside from Bo-Katan, who I think is a convert by the end of the episode, debatably,
at least for today,
is
she's moving in that direction?
Is Elia Kane? Is she actually part of the New Republic, or is she trying to cover up this information, this cloning information?
She's trying to cover it up.
There's multiple converts. She's a Thrawn convert. Because here's my theory.
We're gonna have problems with that all day.
Yeah, thank you. So here's my theory: is that um, we also have Gideon walking around, right? We know
Maybe.
Gideon's
I don't
out
know
there.
about that. I don't know.
Gideon's definitely out there because they name
But
dropped
then they
him.
say they
He's
put
out
him under
there.
a mind flayer and wiped his mind. too,
Yes.
Right after that.
Sure, rumors, yeah, and who might have done that, right? It's the person we saw do the same thing to Pershing. Now,
I think
why
she's
would
the one
you
that
want
says
to,
the
if
mind
you're
flayer
Thrawn?
comment at the table. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, if Thrawn wants to do his own cloning, right? Maybe he wants to clean out the people who are doing the other type of cloning, right? Like there may be like cross
think
purposes. here.
So Adam, being our
gosh, this is great.
senior. No, sorry, you go Ben.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. It's great.
Yeah.
I've got too much to talk about right now. I have a million things going on in my head. But I did just want to say, I think the only thing that stands in Thrawn's way is probably the Emperor, right? And so the cloning really, he knows the cloning leads to the Emperor. He's like, okay, I'm going to take that out. But then he can pursue what other, insidious, like infighting to keep the New Alliance struggling through the whole time. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
That
No, I
makes
think
perfect
that makes a ton of
sense. And
sense.
then
Yeah.
what was so having you probably have most recently read the Thrawn trilogy, the Timothy Zahn trilogy, Adam? How active is he with the cloning in that? Like, how active is he in terms of controlling the operation?
He's pretty, as I remember, he's pretty active. Like he has it going on in the background. I think he discovers the cloning facility, and then kind of uses it for his purposes. So I don't think he starts it. I think he just sees it as an ability to clone a Jedi, and then bad things happen. I can't remember the climax of that series.
So do we think we're getting that two-hander then? He clones a Jedi, and then he uses a Jedi against I don't know, Ezra, Ahsoka, that band of heroes.
Ahsoka, yeah, I do.
Or
I think so.
Ezra,
I think we got
Ezra
it. Yeah,
host the clone.
could
is
be
he the host?
Yeah.
Is he the Jedi? Does he clone Ezra? That would be wild. I didn't know that, but that would be wild.
Yeah.
Instead of Luke, like he clones Ezra, and then that would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's like your Sabaoth stand-in is Ezra.
He could make his own Skywalkers, meaning the Chiss version of that, like his own navigators.
Yeah, he could, and he definitely could still clone Luke. I mean, the end of the day, we know they have really good technology now to get a young Mark Hamill on screen and being able to do stuff. And like that was an amazing episode we had in the middle of Book of Boba Fett. But like part of me, this is just the cynic in me, is always just like it's always just a test of technology, right? I feel like they're saying how far they can push it, and if they feel like they can push it to the point where you now can have a CGI Luke be a bad guy in this crossover event, would you not want to do that, right? Would you not want to have evil Luke? Like, I don't know.
We're only like 10 minutes into this podcast, and we've already gotten to you, Luke.
Yeah, well, I got another one for Grant that I think Grant's going to be happy about. So Pershing, when he's outside the opera house, talks to someone. He says the first casts. So he's talking about strand casts. Yeah, catch that.
The first cast rejected the formula almost immediately. Yeah.
And then in his talk, he's talking about creating chimeras, which is one person with two strands of DNA in it. I wonder if you're going to get your idea of Snoke is actually a combination of Luke and Palpatine.
Yeah.
Confirmed. I think you called it. I think that's exactly what that's going to be.
A single comic panel, but I got to think Luke is. I got to think Snoke is like has bits of Luke in him, given how I guess focused on Luke. How focused Palpatine was on Luke essentially, and sort of attaining Luke as his apprentice. I got to think that that's still a fixation of the Emperor.
Yeah,
that's kind of it just organically leads there at that point, though. Makes the case, and maybe we can run our own sort of Force and Destiny campaign or something. But like, you gotta think maybe Anakin was cloned at one point. Like, I don't know. Given the Phantom Menace and given what all the dialogue around his midi-chlorian count, you gotta think like his DNA was in the mix somewhere.
I think this is the Mandalorian though, and I think they're gonna want to tie in Grogu. And I don't know, maybe they were just testing with Grogu's DNA, and then like the main event would be Luke. Be like, all right, once we figure this out, that's when the Emperor would use Luke's DNA. But yeah, Grogu's DNA is definitely was definitely being fused with somebody.
But all the cloning technology, I think we can surmise that it was unsuccessful, given like Snoke looks like he was falling apart. Like
Yeah.
anything in any of those vats always looked like it had gone through some sort of horrible mutation of some kind. And it's like Palpatine, we know, is just falling apart. He's basically a corpse on a jib arm. Like I don't know. Like it really was there ever a successful experiment in this cloning
Yeah, that's
operation?
a good point. Like
I wonder.
we probably weren't looking at Palpatine's actual body, right? Like that could have been a recreation of his own DNA. Like, was that a clone that he was inhabiting?
I think so.
Yeah, I
Okay.
assumed it was a clone
I was sort of
body,
like,
yeah.
oh, that's what's left
Yeah.
of his body, but it's like that should have been blown to smithereens, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was vaporized. Yeah, but I think what we may get to is, they wipe out Dr. Pershing, who seemed to be, or wiped out his mind, maybe. I mean, who knows? Who knows if they come back from that? But like, you can use that as why the one person who really had the ability to do this is now mind flayed. Then but then maybe on the other side, you have another group of cloners, whoever Thrawn is working with, who is successful in cloning, but through whatever War in the Stars we're going to see in this crossover event, they all get wiped out too. So that all that's left is just Pershing's notes, basically. And it's just now 20 years of people trying to put this stuff together. And that's why we're not very far along by the time we get to the sequel
Pershing's
trilogy.
essentially the link between the Kaminoans and the First Order, right? Like that's kind of what's going on there. And then there's all these other insidious elements. I mean, we know he was working for the Werner Herzog's character. The client.
The client.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
The
just
client.
the client, right? I wish he had a name because, like, man, his drip, I just saw it again recently. Ugh, first
I know.
quality. That
So
could be
good.
my favorite character in Mando.
Show me the child.
Where is the baby?
You want to show me the child?
And then Moff Gideon, may or may not be out there. I wouldn't be surprised if they, we see his like catatonic corpse at some point. I think he might have been taken off the board. But he's working to some end, and then who's ever running the show now, who I do agree, like it could be Thrawn. Maybe Thrawn was pulling the strings on all of them this whole time. Who knows? Or it's
maybe.
like, I mean, or is
Yeah.
it like some ambassador on Exegol, like some sort of, or not ambassador, avatar on Exegol, or some first lieutenant or something that's like a new character that's sort of like who's running the cloning process for the Emperor when the Emperor's dead? We pretty much everyone from Operation Cinder, who was running the Empire post Return of the Jedi, is dead after the Battle of Jakku.
Right.
Except for what's her name? But she's out there. There's that other admiral. There's a couple like holdovers.
Ray Sloan.
Ray Sloan, thank you.
Yeah.
Sloan,
but
thank you.
Yeah, but they're not going to be running his like inner circle, like cloning process on Exegol. I don't think. So I mean, there's got to be someone there. But I love that they're keeping the Empire hidden and the real like power centers of that hidden from us for now, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I'm really glad we didn't see the flagship for those TIE interceptors in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because that kept the mystery and the intrigue intact.
Imagine if you saw a Star
Yeah.
Destroyer with
Yeah.
an actual Chimera
The Chimera design.
on the bottom. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. We're going to see that, guys. We're going to see that.
Coming. It's coming.
I can't wait.
Yeah. I love that we're getting back into politics in this show and we're building the world out. Like this is a huge leap in terms of storytelling for this show because it's really kind of one of the first times we've gone away from Din Djarin for this long of a time to show what's happening outside in the galaxy. It's been a very small show in a lot of ways on a couple of planets and a couple of whatever. Now we're seeing like the machinations of the bad guys, right? That we really haven't, or even just a confluence of the antagonists. We really haven't had an antagonist in the show if you think about it for very
Not
much.
an organized
Yeah,
one.
like one guy. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
always just
Yeah.
these weird
Yeah.
exigent forces that are just like he has to deal with on the way to his next mission, which is pretty cool. It did take me,
Yeah.
listen, it was a nice long episode. I'm grateful for it, but I'm like, show me a Mandalorian halfway through. I'm like, where's
It was called the Mandalorian.
Yeah, no. It was cool. I'll take Coruscant every day. And the way that they showed Coruscant as well, the music was different. The feeling was lighter. It's like if you looked at Revenge of the Sith or whatever, the last time whenever you see Coruscant, it's always a little somber. And but it was like the music was a lot lighter. It was like a whole different spirit surrounding.
Yeah.
Coruscant now.
Yeah, the harpsichord resistance theme that plays in
Yep.
the market square when they're just like walking around. That's awesome.
Good
Yeah.
call.
That's a really good point, Ben, because it's just like if you think about in the prequel trilogy, we don't see a lot of Coruscant. We see Coruscant a lot, but we don't see a lot of Coruscant, right? We only really see the governmental sectors, really, and then the Jedi Temple, and then in Andor, it is a time of it's a very dire time. So to actually like see them walking around like having like ice cream cones. And like it was really interesting, right? Yeah, it was like it's like one of my favorite scenes in episode 2 is when they go to the club, right, in Coruscant, because like because
there we actually see some of the nightlife and what's going on there. It was a cool fun thing.
It's like vibrant frivolity versus sort of like the stark bureaucracy or bureaucratic sort of side of Andor. It's
I do love like cold, dark, grayscale, brutalist like.
Me too.
Coruscant though.
Me too.
That was kind of great. So
good stuff. One of the things strange credulity for me was Pershing not having knowledge of Coruscant like at all. Like getting the download on Coruscant in his hotel in his amnesty housing room.
That was
what?
odd
He's like
to
a
me
doctor,
as well.
And he's never like I'm sure this is like a hub for exchanging ideas, like scientific ideas and conferences and stuff. Like you have to imagine.
Yeah.
It's especially because it's like the information was like the most basic piece of information that you could possibly get. It'd be like someone in America who's lived in America their entire life being like, here's a lowdown on New York. It's a very large city. And it has, it'd be like 99% of people in America are like, I've heard of New York. I don't know like everything about it, but I'm aware that it exists.
Spouting, honestly.
I would hope
it just
so,
felt like it was like Coruscant 101, like Ecumenopolis.
Yeah,
I
very
think
101.
This is them giving us what we want as far as making the galaxy feel larger. Like, because that's what it would be. He's from the Outer Rim. They had that very intentional line from that bureaucrat being like, "Oh yes, the Outer Rim." And it's like that's how far right. That's how far removed it is. I mean, it might be a 2-day hyperspace journey from the Outer Rim, but it is still millions of light years away. So or hundreds. I don't know space and distance.
And he's super squirrely, which I appreciate because he's a very educated man. But you could see he's uncomfortable in a city. He's very uncomfortable with how many people there are, and he even says that somewhere there's so many people. But like
he didn't know how to act on a subway. He was
every time
like,
you see him,
and he's like, "Why are there all these people?" A lot of good details.
Taungsdays, am I right?
Nice.
And making the galaxy, making Coruscant bigger. I mean, we get the Sky Dome Botanical Gardens, we get the Galactic Museum. Yeah, like I want to go to see the exhibit on the hyperspace technology, hyperdrive technology.
Sure,
like that'd be fun. That'd be a great afternoon.
Yeah.
Good time.
The Myces blossoms, Myces flowers are blossoming.
Sure.
Whatever those are. Sounds great.
Yeah. We get some introduction to some. I'm just gonna call it space sake.
Is that what that is?
Looks
that
like they're
milky
drinking
water? Yeah, space sake.
It does look like
space
the
sake.
cloudy.
It looks like sake to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want that. I want that right now. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning when I was watching this, and I'm like, I take some.
I love when the conversation goes tracks just Pershing and G68, and then you hear one of the guys just off camera go like, "The Empire, they weren't big on redemption." It's like, well, that's pretty broad that's accurate.
I mean, it is super fascinating that they have an amnesty program, right? I was really into that and really interested in that. That's really fascinating, and that they are trying to reintegrate, right? They don't seem to be doing a stellar job of it. I don't know if you want to reintegrate people, you keep everyone in the same. Actually, I can speak to this from my professional experience. It doesn't really work if you put a lot of people together in this way, because they tend to talk and get ideas and not feel like they're part of the larger world and feel insulated and that's not good. So having just housing that's only amnesty people. I was just watching that. Second that they mentioned that, I'm like, oh, that's not a good idea. Yeah.
It's also just weird to ask anyone if they feel like anger or resentment towards like the government.
Yes.
It's really broad and weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, maybe some days.
Feel free to answer honestly or else. We might just, alter your mind a little bit. Whatever. Depending on your answer.
Too much into the real world, but again, something I can speak to is similar to if people are on probation. because of the sheer number of people on probation and the lack of individuals we have as probation officers. That is kind of how those go, because they have to check the book, check the thing. So they get like, they're supposed to have an hour a week. Generally, they have about 5 minutes via phone call where they just ask routine questions, which are very similar to this. And the person says yes, 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 no, 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 and then it's check the box.
Good times.
So anyway, sorry for a
found
bummer.
it interesting when Pershing asked the question about if he were to continue, recreationally continue his research, would that be allowed? And the droid's like, the class of research is expressly prohibited by the Coruscant Accords, Section 13, subparagraph 7. I thought, I was like, release the Coruscant Accords. I want to read the entirety of that legislation.
Yeah.
Actually, I think there's some in Aftermath as well. They had some like broad points, but seems like a subsection that they didn't publish. But yeah, I know. I mean, it has to be the hardest thing for them to do, right? Because you have to be like, okay, the Rebel Alliance won, and this is their victory, and this is galactic. But it's like, they can only bring it so far. It has to be flawed in some way, but they want it, it's like you have to win and lose at the same time. So it's I think it must be a really fine line to walk, story-wise.
Yeah. And as we're seeing in Andor, right, and in the Clone Wars, the Rebel Alliance was put together with a lot of different people with a lot of different views on politics and a lot of different views on how governments should be run. So it's not the smooth, everyone agrees on what a properly running government should be. So it makes sense. It's a bummer, but it makes sense. I was going to say, so we spend, 45 minutes of this episode with Dr. Pershing, who we last saw, I think, I don't know if we last saw him, but one of the last times we saw him was kind of torturing Grogu.
So the last time, did we see him in, no, it was season 2.
I can't remember if
Boba Fett was there. They had to infiltrate, and they had to like steal a ship to get codes, I think, or something, and he happened to be aboard.
Oh, right.
And they saved his life, but ended up killing the other two. Oh, wait, was he on that large command ship? No, he was on the small ship that they used to infiltrate Gideon's ship.
And I think he assists with that infiltration. Right. And when they're infiltrating, the people they're running their security codes by is the chain codes by is Elia Kane. It is G30. So she might be angry that he basically sabotaged that ship or
could be.
Devil's advocate. Gideon is alive. And he just told her, this man crossed me and you need to terminate him at the end. That could be it. I mean, that's my least exciting outcome, I think.
It definitely could be. It's just as weird, though, right? Because he clearly is a fount of information on whatever Gideon's interested in. So it'd be very petty for him to kill him,
There's
right?
a reason
or fry
he's
his
feared.
brain.
I mean,
but
off Gideon.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, so that's right. But I mean, one of the first times I guess we see him, he's literally like pulling blood out of Grogu, torturing him. And now we spent 45 minutes. I was completely empathizing with this man the entire episode and was like kind of rooting for him. And it's like, it's such a great job to just show that, like just that nice little turn and give him depth of character.
I mean, Mando does a pretty quick character read on the guy. And it's like, you're not, you're a pawn in this stuff. You're not really a malactor.
It is kind of insidious to like support the capture of the child and conduct experiments on the child.
Yeah.
So like maybe Elia Kane is a good guy and she just, sees the error in Pershing's way and just wants to take him out.
I mean, that's another reading, right? Is that she did set him up, but it was a test of morals, right? Like she wanted to really see, and when she saw that he was going to go that far, like she knew he could go even further, right? He could be tempted back to the dark side.
How does she get away with turning up the machine?
I don't know that.
Like, how do they not know that? Are there not cameras in that room? Does that administrator not come back and notice that, like, the dials on
11?
Like,
TBD.
Yeah.
And maybe she just bounces, but
right.
Yeah. I don't know. I like that read of it, though. Like, what if she is truly a convert? She's one of the converts we're talking about here, and she's all about the New Alliance, and she's really trying to make amends for all the monstrous things she did for Moff Gideon. I don't know. She seemed like a pretty faithful soldier, though. She was like a high-ranking officer for Moff Gideon on his ship. So I don't know, but that'd be an interesting play.
It also is a weird, if you're looking at it from like a storytelling standpoint, I don't know what that read of
what does
it
that do?
would do, right? Because that's the end. That's the end of the story, then, right? In a weird way. So, yeah, like why are we following this character we've seen in a few scenes over the past two seasons to just have him be done and have her?
Do we see
Dr.
Dr. Pershing again, or is this the end of his story?
I don't know. I keep going back and forth on it. I could see going either way.
Do we see Moff Gideon again, or is his story over?
I think if you have Giancarlo Esposito in your back pocket, and he is still happy to play because he's always talking up Mando on his Instagram, I think he's going to show up again. I don't think he wastes that talent.
And also, he's like the main big bad for the Mandalorians. But they've pressed that button twice now in 2 other seasons. It's like, are they going to bring him back for a third one? It seems like a lot, but maybe I guess they want to, to really have closure for like Paz Vizsla to get closure, for the armor to have closure. They have to take him down once and for all.
I don't think you give him an off-screen death, right? I think you have to give him his death on screen. And my guess is his death is going to be handed to him by Thrawn. Like, I think it's going to be one of those fake outs where you just think, oh, he's the bad guy, and then Thrawn comes in basically killing him, and they're like, nope, I'm the real bad guy.
That's why I kind of feel like we'll see Gideon's sort of like vegetable corpse in like a tube somewhere on Thrawn's ship. Yeah.
That's another way to do it, yeah. Oh, speaking of vegetable corpses, did we all know that? Remember the Pirate King from episode 1? Did you all read that? Yeah, did you all read that news? I don't think he's going to show up in this season. He's going to be in
Oh wow, cool.
That's the rumors.
I was told that's the rumor. I was told as well. I don't believe that rumor. I choose to not spread that rumor because I'm hoping for something more.
I choose to because it makes total sense why they would introduce that character. Like right, it just screams the spin-off. So I think we'll see him again, which he's going to be the big bad of Skeleton Crew, which I'm cool with. He seems like a good bad guy to be chasing kids around.
I know, but the Mandalorian just sort of like handled them and was like, bye. Yeah. He killed like 11 of them in 30 seconds and then was like, bye.
That's why he's more of a threat to kids than he is to a Mandalorian.
Right. He does look like a story your parents would tell you about, like, as a nightmare to like eat your vegetables or whatever, or else your vegetables will attack you.
Oh man. I do think we might see Pershing again though, back to characters that might reoccur. I think there's a lot of setup here now he can become an unhinged dark scientist for Thrawn to like retrieve in some counter operation, right? Like that's cool.
I mean, maybe he's kind of like Bodhi Rook, the pilot, right? And like he's just kind of really, his mind's all scrambled.
Well, now all the experiments make sense, like this like botched cloning experiments, because like they fried his brain. Now he's going to create all these like crazy science. Crazy.
Yeah. So it's like a reset button on the character, and then he can be used to do whatever afterwards. I like that.
Yeah. Fun. His character will change after this.
What's up with his ear tug? Did you notice that? There's a couple scenes.
The lie tug?
Yeah. Is that the lie tug? Is that his tell when he's lying? So, because he does that in the
speech.
In the speech when he's talking about his mother.
Yeah.
Right? So is that just a straight up lie?
Oh, wow.
His mother never?
Yeah. I thought he was kind of, because that was the ear he was shot in, I'm pretty sure, by Din Djarin.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if he was just thinking about a painful memory or something, but it did.
Just like a nervous tick.
Yeah. It was a big beat, though. And then he talks about his mother again in the, to Kane in the laboratory. Be like, oh, yeah, she was a doctor herself and blah, blah, blah. But maybe he is a compulsive liar, and when we see him again, he spills his guts about, like, I killed my mother or something like that. I don't know.
Fascinating stuff.
Pretty wild. Do we want to talk about the Mandalorian this episode at all?
Sure.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No. Go ahead.
I don't know what else there is there. Well, okay. So the biggest beat, right, is that Bo-Katan keeps the mythosaur in her pocket.
Yeah. So,
and she is like, welp, and gets welcomed with open arms with essentially a contingent of Mandalorians that are believers in this path. And so she has a very clear path, albeit fraught with peril, to lead a new group of Mandalorians. She's got the Darksabers hanging from her new bestie's belt. She's got, the spiritual leader and the armorer on her side temporarily, and she knows that a mythosaur exists.
Yeah. No, it's very true. They really are setting it up that if she could be the Mandalore. And I gotta say, like, I like the turn of the armor this episode. That idea of like I may not like you or we may not like each other, but hey, you bathed in the waters.
You're in.
Have you removed your helmet? Nope. You're a Mandalore, whether you like it or not, whether you want to be here or not, we accept you. And it's kind of a nice little turn. I mean, I'm sure it's going to go bad, but it's, it was very true to that character. She has deep beliefs in this.
I just wanted to see the scene where they all walk out the mouth of the cave and she's like, you can be a Mandalore for as long as you want. And then Bo like just removes her helmet to eat a travel biscuit. And she's like, what? And then the armor just sighs.
Yeah.
I just need that.
Yeah. Yeah, they've done such a good job this season. I'm totally in on the Mandalorian stuff. I was so not excited by it, to be honest. It's just not the thing that I love the most. And I would just watch the last 2 episodes. I'm like, yep, I'm in, totally in, 100%.
Oh yeah,
can't wait.
Every week I'm counting down the days until this comes out, just because it's so fun.
Yeah, I'm loving Bo-Katan. I think Bo-Katan is now becoming one of the standout favorites. I was worried about just where that character was going in season 2, and now I feel at ease now. I think they've got a great direction for that character. And then if she is the Mandalore, I mean, this is just excellent trajectory for that character. So just now she'll hopefully win the Darksaber in battle, claim it, whatever, do all the worthy stuff. In the eyes of the people, obviously, and all that. And so that would be cool. I can't wait. And to see like some of that energy with Thrawn, like crackle, like when Sabine comes back, hopefully, and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, I think it's another false thing. So my favorite part of the season so far was the hard head fake they did with IG-11. And the fact that they were like, oh, yes, it's very laid out. We need this droid in particular. And then they immediately threw it away. And that leads me to believe it's like they set it up like she knows where the mythosaur is. There's the Darksaber. She like led this at one point. I think there's going to be confrontation there. And I think there's no way Bo-Katan becomes the Mandalore. As much as like last week, Grant, you mentioned like it doesn't really make any sense for Din Djarin to become the Mandalore because we need him to keep traveling through the galaxy and sort of wolf and cub.
I need him. I mean, it's fine if that's what they take him, but I like the drifter aspect.
No, I agree fully. I do too. That's my favorite part of it. But I think they're setting us up for another head fake there. It's like it's too cut and dry right now. And and I think if Sabine sees her again and is like, I trusted you with this Darksaber and to lead the people, and now the planet is destroyed. Like, you don't get another bite of the apple. That was it. That was your shot. We need to, Din Djarin's holding it. You have to do it. Or Sabine takes it herself.
No, I think that's a good point. And the world is getting it's growing, right? As the galaxy's growing in this show.
Yeah.
And so Din Djarin's going to be encountering, enemies and battles that him and the 2 friends he still has will not be enough to combat, right? So it's almost like he has to start leading, whether he wants to or not, because he's gonna need to. Like he can't fight Thrawn alone, right? Even with Ahsoka and Sabine and Bo-Katan and a couple other people, that's not enough, right?
Yeah,
he needs an army behind him.
I also, another thing that leads me to believe it was Thrawn, and I didn't get a chance to talk about this earlier when we were down our Thrawn hole, but is the way that the attack went down, that like the small group of fighters was just a distraction so that the bombers could come in and take out the castle. I don't know, that is a pure
and then pursuing the bombers into the sort of net of
it screams
that is a classic Thrawn pincer maneuver.
Tactician.
Very tactical.
I mean, the other thing that I don't think Bo-Katan can do is tame the mythosaur. Though the mythosaur revealed itself to Bo, maybe not so much Din Djarin, I don't know, but I don't think she can do that alone, and I think it's going to take Din Djarin and Grogu to save her from getting eaten by the mythosaur. Like, the mythosaur can't just be like a golden retriever that you give a treat and then it's your friend. Like, there's got to be something momentous.
Well, it would feel redundant if it was basically like a Mudhorn moment with Mando again, where like Grogu calms the mythosaur so Mando can ride it. But it wouldn't feel redundant if Grogu did that for Bo in a new situation. Mm-hmm. So like my argument is that Grogu might help out Bo, given that she's gotten so close to the kid. And
I like that.
even closer to him now.
Technically, he helped out Boba Fett with the Rancor too. Like he was just like he's like, let me chill your animal out for you.
Right.
Right.
Good
The
call.
Bo moment might be the mythosaur, right?
I mean, here's the thing: so we've had him fight, Mudhorn. We've had him fight a Crate Dragon. We've had him fight like other things, right?
He fought a Rancor. Yeah,
a Rancor. If you're gonna fight a mythosaur, that better be the entire episode.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, this better not be a 5-minute I've tamed the mythosaur. Like,
it's
not even like, it's got to be like a 30-minute thing. Gotta have like multiple
Do you think
rounds.
this all leads to sort of like, last frame of Jurassic Park, like someone atop the mythosaur just as it roars and the sun sort of beaming from behind? Like, do we get that shot? Is that the shot that sort of like solidifies our Mandalore?
Yeah, it makes too much sense to like that's the season climax.
So you guys want to see the prophecy be fulfilled?
Yeah.
I would like it to get muddied up.
I would grant. I prefer.
I would like it to not. I would like there to be. I would like this all to be some sort of like folklorish tale of some kind, and not be.
Yeah,
this, I don't know.
I agree. We've talked about my feelings of of prophecy, right? I mean, but part of the reason I love the prophecy of the Chosen One is because we still have no idea what the heck it means, right? Part of this is like once you kind of fulfill it, it's just like, well, now what?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's sort of like the prophecy of the Chosen One, obviously can be endlessly interpreted, but at the same time, if you do interpret it in such a way that it had already taken place, it happens in a way that doesn't really track or follow the exact prophecy. It's kind of the balancing act is far darker and there's more sort of arms to that than you thought there would be. So yeah, I wonder if this prophecy will operate in the same way, where it's kind of like it reads this way, but Sabine is really the Mandalore, and these two are just there.
Yeah, because it's not like the Darksaber isn't cursed. The Darksaber didn't make the Empire glass Mandalore. They're completely unrelated incidents.
Yeah.
But it happened, and it sort of fits neatly in there. But not really that neatly, right? Yeah, like you said, it's pretty muddy. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I mean, the way this season's going, we could see the mythosaur, someone riding a mythosaur by episode 5.
Yeah. It's been a fascinating. Like I have not. We tried to predict where the season was going, and I'm out. I'm out on predictions.
Yeah.
With this season, which I'm loving. It's like. I have no idea.
I do want to predict right now that
Thrawn
is going to get Pershing out of Coruscant. I just have this weird feeling after this episode that it's going to be a counter offensive to get that guy out somehow. I don't know. Just why have this episode in there if that's not going to happen? That's just I don't know.
So I had another somewhat prediction / thought. Now it's not fully formed, but we talked. I don't know if we talked on air about it, but we revisit the Opera House, right, from Revenge of the Sith.
Is that the Opera House?
It is
awesome.
It is. It has seats now. It is stadium seating.
Apparently, yeah. I mean, it's the same It's the same exterior, so maybe it's just a different.
I think it's
venue,
a different venue. It's that they showed like on the peninsula. There's this long like bridge and then an orb at the end.
Yeah.
An orb-shaped building. I think it's that. I don't think it's the same because the scale is so much smaller.
I think it's the same. If you look back, I think it's the exact same architecture.
I don't know. We'll have to. I thought so, but we'll have to figure that out. But that's not really. We'll check the tape. Not really my prediction, other than that they may be showing us familiar places, and if so, like we know that Grogu is going to have a flashback, right?
Yeah.
We've seen that. It's like I think that's like the last thing in the preview that we haven't seen in the and so part of me is wondering is like how does that memory get unlocked, and I wonder if we're going to get Mando on Coruscant for something, like maybe he's involved with going to Coruscant and bringing Grogu there, and he sees familiar, like he sees the Jedi Temple or what's left of it or something, and that clicks in his brain, right? He starts seeing back in his life.
I mean, when you think about it, we have no idea what his next moves are. He's completed his mission again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a really good point. Like, he completed what we thought was going to be the full season mission. Is already done. Episode 3.
Is it now what the covert wants? Is that what's going to happen now?
Yeah. I mean, I think gathering other Mandalorians will be part of it because we know that was part of the episode 1, sort of preview. That's like there's
Right.
there's diaspora, and they're going to try and gather the diaspora. He has the dark saber, so that could potentially do it. I mean,
Do we get a
Yeah.
call from help from maybe allies? Maybe one of Bo's
Night
contemporaries, Axe Wolves, or
Yeah.
Casca Reeves,
Yeah.
like those characters? Or does Boba Fett reach out? Does he need something? Is it about time we get the Boba episode? Are we almost there, you guys think?
Owls. Yeah.
Well, we're just about mid-season, which is a bummer.
He didn't even
right?
drop in to say hi
Episode
when he
4.
visited
So
Belly. It was just like, nah, no.
I-
I'm good.
I was really waiting for him to pop up. Yeah. I guess the other thought is like, now that he's told them that Mandalore is livable and the waters of Mandalore wouldn't the covert go back to Mandalore at that point then? So do we get a return to, is that where the new covert ends up, is in the mines of Mandalore?
That's fascinating. I think one of you brought up that the Empire could still be operating on Mandalore. Did one of you guys bring that up? Would be
No, I don't think
interesting.
so.
Would be interesting if there's more going on in the Mandalore system than we thought. Basically, I would love if Thrawn's. Where is Mandalore in the galaxy? Do we know? It's Outer Rim for sure?
No, I think it's mid rim at the furthest. I remember looking at it, but
Yeah.
it's not that. It's not outer rim.
That's interesting.
And in fact, I think it's along a major trade route, but
Well-
it was blocked off mostly because there were Mandalorians there, and they were just like, nah.
Don't you think it's a little hot right now for them to return? Like, given there were so many interceptors there, it's like
Yeah, yeah.
they don't even have ships. Do they have ships?
Yeah.
The,
Well, Bo-Katan
armor-
knows people who have ships. She has that. She has a way to contact people to get a fleet. So, if they could potentially put together a fleet and go, get whoever, Thrawn or whoever it is that chased her out of Mandalore, they could liberate the system again. That would be fun. That seems
That'd
like a
be cool.
logical next step.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, motivation wise, we don't know what Din's gonna do next.
He just wants to be a Mandalorian, man. Find his way in the galaxy. But yeah,
I wonder if that means we'll just see a sort of like one of a covert mission as the start of the next episode. Like, what are they doing as a group to gather resources, find other Mandalorians, whatever they're trying to do, settle Mandalore again, something like that.
a time jump
Yeah,
could actually be nice here, where they sort of
Yeah,
Mm.
good call.
Oh, that's a really good call. Yeah, that would be interesting. That's a good way to move the story forward.
Yeah.
It's just like we don't need to watch every
I just-
little. Yeah.
As
Yeah,
soon as
maybe
you
don't-
said
yeah.
Boba Fett, I just had this thought in my head where it's just like, we need general contractors to start building up Mandalore again. And like, Din Djarin's like, I know a guy, and he contacts Boba Fett. And Boba Fett's like, yeah, so I'm an upstanding citizen, and I know some.
Yeah, he's reformed.
Yeah, and it's like, that's what he does now, is just like infrastructure. And he's a pure bureaucrat, which is the sort of the saddest thing I've ever thought of. The other thing
Yeah.
with Boba Fett could be like, now he's overrun with Black Sun and every syndicate is descending on him. And he's like, help, please help.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, there should be a lot of fun stuff. Pirates obviously could come back with Gorian Shard and all that. Grief Karga. I mean, they really just set up some tension right away with sort of the pirates and Grief Karga, and I could see that being a call that Din would answer. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta go help him. With pirates.
Yep.
Yeah, Grief needs he still needs a marshal, and there's plenty of candidates there in that covert. I don't know who would want to leave.
It's true.
A lot of sweet armor in that code. Like, I was digging a lot of like the pastel-y tones of those armors that like gathering around Paz. Also, Paz Vizsla sort of like gets a couple more. He's kind of like the gatekeeper of the covert, and he's just framed in sort of a villainous way, like constantly.
Oh yeah.
There's got to be more with that character. Like, there's got to be some other move to make down the line. Yeah, definitely vibes with Paz Vizsla, bad vibes with Paz, but
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely felt that.
Yeah. No good. No good coming from that dude.
yeah. He's just he's the most devout of all of them, I think. And he's he wants that leadership position. I don't know. I keep reading stuff about the armor. It's like, what is her real deal? And and I saw some people on Reddit just being like, well, no, it's just like it's just the way the culture works. Their whole culture revolves around armor, and it's like your
Yeah.
blacksmith is like it's your timekeeper. It's like you hand out armor and do these things according to a schedule, and you're the keeper of the lore, and it's just sort of everything. It's a cool role that is on, just defining itself as we watch it.
Right. There's brand new framing for her, right? It's like no longer is she kind of seen as this sort of like obstacle, or she's now seen as sort of the central. She's the heart of Mandalore, right? She's the heart of the Mandalorian way. And so if she dies or she is threatened in any way, that would be the loss for the culture. So it's so fun that she's now that symbol. And it's wild that I think for a couple episodes we thought that she was going to take some villainous turn and sort of reject Din and support Paz and all this kind of stuff.
No, I think her deal is her deal. Yeah. Like, it might just be, it's very, what you see is what you get. And she, like you said, kind of bet is that she's the lore keeper, right? She's just the lore keeper waiting for the Mandalore to reemerge. Yeah. And then the Mandalore will lead them to greatness.
Speaking of someone who works with metals, should we move on to the medal ceremony, guys?
Let's do the medal ceremony.
Oh, well done.
New-ish segment, new branded segment.
Newish segment. This is an episode roundup of all our favorite and least favorite moments from the episode displayed in humorous categories.
Get ready. Award show. Humor incoming.
Humor coming.
First one, Prophecy of the Chosen One. Do we have a most valuable character in this episode? Did one character stand out as sort of the highlight character of this episode for you? This is pretty subjective.
The guy on the train, the alien.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with the guy on the train.
Yeah. And the guy, the very spherical being on the train.
Yeah. I like Pershing's boss.
Oh yeah.
We didn't really talk about Pershing. It's just like, I don't know, man. Like, can you just go take care of this?
We gotta hold the Imperial disposal yard to inventory, and we're still decommissioning the Rebel fleet. Come on.
You really are helping the New Republic by doing whatever you're doing.
I listened to your talk yesterday, but got nothing from it.
Nope. Yeah.
Retained nothing. For me, I'm gonna go Bo-Katan. I think she sort of really transformed in this episode for me. I'm really like when she starts, when she's flying with Mando after they fight off the ties, and she's like, great shot, and they're sort of complimenting each other. I'm like, this is a new side to Bo. She's actually happy. Like, she's actually excitable and seems to be filled with this new vigor that I was really happy to see.
She's on an adventure. She's in her element, right? Like, that's where she belongs. And it's so nice at that moment. I thought that same moment when they were talking to each other over the radio, I was just like, as part of me was like, are they flirting? Are they flirting right now?
Possibly.
Oh yeah, there's some chemistry. I'm shipping them.
Yeah.
All right. Utini shot. Do we have a best shot for this episode? Yes. Is there one we can agree on, or do you have a subjective one that you loved?
I just liked the cockpit shot of all of them in Bo-Katan's ship, and I saw it. You had it playing over your shoulder, Grant, and I saw it again. And just the lighting is so beautiful. It's like a little dark, but everything is like there's so much metal, and it's all like the accents are glowing, and I really like that.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I don't have a specific one, but it would definitely be from that part of the episode. It really it's so cinematic. And that's the other thing is just to mention for a second is just like, remember like season 1 we got like a 30-second flyby shot of the Razor Crest with a little bit of like action. Yeah. And now we're like season 3 we get a 5-minute like full space aerial battle. Like it's unbelievable. So that whole segment was great. And I love that shot. That cockpit shot was great.
I have one from the same exact,
what do you got, Grant?
Sequence, which is just at the end of that fight with the first squadron, where Bo and Dan are just flying side by side. Frame that and put that on the wall. Like that looks gorgeous. Like that was amazing to see both of them just flying side by side. And it's just one specific shot from on Bo's side. Yeah, it's great. I've made my mind a Sunless Space Best Dialogue Award. Is there one line of dialogue that really stood out to you guys?
We're all just going to say the same thing. It's Taungsdays, am I right?
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. Ben, you got one?
I mean, I think for the rest of the season, I'm going to say the same line. It's just, this is the way. It just doesn't, I mean, I know I am just like the most basic of all like Star Wars fans, but every time it hits. Like, it's hard for me.
It hits, and it's like, it's their version of I Am Groot, where it can mean so many different things. And my favorite thing is every time Bo-Katan says this is the way, she puts a little mustard on it, right? Like you just hear it and be like, yeah, got it. Like this is the way.
Yeah.
Like just like I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Pershing's boss, like we talked about. I love all his dialogue's great. Felt very Andor in that moment, but I got to give it to Bo for I've scugged off a lot of Imperial warlords. I scugged off was awesome. Just you sort of
scugged off's a good one. Yeah. Or, calls them mud scuffers too. Is that mud scuffers? Mud scuffers. Yeah,
that's probably it. I mean, there's a lot of fun Pershing stuff in there, but yeah, just that kind of stood out to me.
Yeah, they did. There was a lot of little lines that I can't really pull out right now, but they did a really good job of just like putting in little tiny tidbits that change common like phrases that we would hear and make them Star Wars. It bothers me when I read stories and they don't make that extra effort. I know it's like a little corny, but it does help like world build a lot, and they did that a lot in this episode, and I appreciated it.
Yeah. But it didn't feel forced in. It didn't feel unnatural. Taungsday threw me for a loop when I first heard it, because I'm like, wait, we're actually like naming days of the week now, and I'm like, I had to like pause for a second. I literally paused for a second because I'm just like, I had to like stop and let my brain process like, so is that like a Monday or a Tuesday? Is it a 7-day week? Do they not have a 7-day week? Do they have an 8-day week? Like I started like, I'm like, don't do this.
Yeah, it's a 46-day week. Like standard. I don't know.
Right? Like who knows?
Also,
who knows
what's a rotation? Means? Is that a day?
A day, I assume, because we hear it in Bad Batch as well, right? So
is it a standard rotation?
Day. There's a standard rotation and a standard cycle. And I think the cycle is a year.
Right.
And I think the rotation is a day.
Right. I think you're right. I think it's based on a 24-hour clock and then a 300.
Because we did this math before, and I think we figured out that it is a 365-day year.
Yeah, I think they do. For whatever reason, I don't know if that's based on Coruscant time. It's based. I don't know. It's all weird. Once you start doing that, this is my point. It's like once you start doing that, all falls
exactly.
apart.
Wait, time's relative, and every system's a different size, and gravity works differently, and the theory of relativity, and then you're like, wait, no, it's a space opera. Let's just watch the shooty things.
And they're all traveling faster than light. And if you do wormholes, that's fine. But then people are on different 24-hour cycle clocks, and who knows how? Like when you make a call, who knows what time it is here? Anyway, I was so thrown off the first time I said Taungsday, and then when they called it back, I'm like, "Yep, I'm on board." Like it's like cycle that's in there. It's Star Wars now. It's
what about Bendu Day? How did you feel about that one?
Who said Bendu Day?
They say Happy Bendu Day at one point. I think it's Pershing's boss. The first thing he says in the first interaction is Happy Bendu.
Maybe is that Friday or is that a holiday? I don't.
Yeah,
Taungsday has a Thursday feel to me.
I thought Taungsday was like a Monday.
Really?
So that'd be like,
Taungsday.
Because it's like Mondays, right? But I guess Wednesday could be their version of their slang for Hump Day. Like
Bendu might be Friday then.
Not we.
Maybe it was the weekend in which he was going to the market square and all that.
Yeah.
So Bendu Day, Friday.
It's totally a boss to say Happy Friday, right?
You heard it here first.
Like, Happy Friday,
Taungsday, Monday.
Right, and Bendu was the original term for Jedi, right? So it could be an ancient term, right?
Yeah, right. That would totally make sense because all of our weeks like Thursday, it's based off of other gods, right? So like, okay, we're really going down the rabbit hole.
Woden's Day, yeah, for sure. Ben Burt's best blaster fire award for best sound. Do you have a best sound from this episode? Sound design, sound effect.
So when they crack into the Star Destroyer, there was a nice blend of sounds where it like opened when the doors opened. So there was some like decayed creaking, but there was also shades of earlier sounds from fully functional Star Destroyers. Also with like a little bit of like alarm from the klaxon alarm. There's like, it was a really layered sound there. That was like evoked all the things that Star Destroyers evoke as they pass that threshold. That's one that stuck out to me.
Inoperable Star Destroyer room tone for Ben.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, who's the sound guy? Because mine just like
you found all those different textures.
I like the TIE fighters. The TIE fighters sounded cool.
Like sounds like Empty Corridor to me. Empty Corridor. Yeah.
But I did appreciate that. That's a great one.
They did actually, even when they're on the back of the train. They did mix in a little ion drive there, like a TIE fighter.
Yeah.
So you'd hear it, and they're like, "What does this sound like?" And it was like a little bit of train, a little bit of TIE fighter. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I didn't realize you could jump off a train that's going like 300 miles an hour and be
Yeah,
fine,
that
but
was
whatever.
so she
we
couldn't
didn't talk about that one.
Yeah, she couldn't see the thing, so maybe she'd done that before. But like, I was like, is she a Jedi, or are they just really lucky? Because they could have been Bantha Poodoo, pretty easy on that. And they were pulling into the stations; they were slowing down.
They were slowing down, but they weren't going that slow yet.
Those like ticket-taking droids, those things were haunting. I thought they were like, terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, this design is crazy.
They had a lot of like looked like practical janky droids in this episode, and I was all there for it. Like just really like the droid that was that was driving the speeder for Dr. Pershing at the beginning, like turns around.
I wonder who that was.
Yeah,
they had a lot
like
of
head
lines.
could fall off.
Like that droid was just talking quite a bit.
I might have it here for you, actually. I always
I can buy you some time for the sound of
taxi droid is Dylan Furshine.
Okay.
I didn't recognize any of these names,
sound familiar?
but because they all looked. Yeah. The Aristocrat one, Stephen Kieran, he looked familiar. He actually looked like that Kiwi actor that did our flag means death.
The Outer Rim, I can't imagine guy.
Yeah, exactly. That he looked super familiar to me. But I think his name's Stephen Kieran, and then there's Norwood Cheek. I don't know who that is, but
okay, yeah. Not names I recognize, but yeah, they've been in stuff.
Yeah, and the technician at the end, John Ott. Yeah, I don't. He looked familiar as well. Or lab tech. Maybe there's Danny Jacobs is the person, but he looked familiar as well. But
yeah, I thought the guy at the end was going to be someone because they almost tried to give him like a reveal.
Yeah, the Twi'lek.
Oh, no, it's just a guy. Yeah, the Twi'lek. Yeah.
Best sound for me is specifically when Din pulls away when Bo is chasing the bombers towards the fleet of TIE interceptors, and he just banks away. The N1 makes just an incredible noise.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It is so nice to see the N1 in action, right? Because we got a little tease of it in episode 1. Yeah. But like to actually see it. The other thing I loved in that scene, or before that scene, when he's getting the N1 and he jumps out of the thing. Cool. I was, as he's falling, I'm like, is he going to take out his blaster and start shooting at TIE fighters? He didn't, which I'm glad. And the thing that I was extra glad about is they did not give him the superhero landing. Like he still he hit the deck hard and rolled. Like I love the fact that they didn't make him a superhero in that moment. Like, yeah.
Oh, good call. Yeah, that was an amazing scene because he almost gets taken out by the TIE interceptors.
Yeah.
That are like coming in on his tail, and like that was terrifying. But like I love in Atmo TIE fighters. I just love it.
Me too.
And you see how fast they're going, and it's breathtaking.
And the cacophony of like all the engine sounds, like you get the TIEs, you get the N1,
so many.
You get Bo's Mandalorian fighter, like you get all those different engine sounds just mixed together. It sounded so cool.
Yeah, with the psi phenomenon as they're passing by, it's really
makes me want to watch it again.
I know.
So good.
Yeah, don't tease me with a good time.
Somehow Palpatine returned. Worst dialogue of the episode. Is there a cringy line in there? Something that rubbed you the wrong way?
I don't want to be negative. My mom told me if you don't have anything nice to say.
This category is going to be here
I will start taking notes because what's really driving me nuts is I knew there was something I was watching, and I wonder if you have a Grant where I was watching and I went, oh man, that's clunky. There was something that stood out to me and I didn't write it down, but I remember kind of going oof when I heard it. Do you have one, Grant?
I mean, the Empire weren't big on redemption is like weirdly broad and just so meta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know. That was a little strange.
I think you're right. I think there was something in that
Mando's
scene,
not even
which I really
scratch,
enjoyed.
Though I loved it. It was like a little cliche. Like there's a little like, is that the best one-liner for him right now? Like,
but on brand. He loves his car. He loves his classic muscle car.
Yeah, nothing egregious.
You know what it was for me?
I thought it was pretty tight.
It was the one that threw out to me was the mud scuffers bombed my castle. I didn't mind mud scuffers, but I'm like, I know. We're all watching the same thing. If she just went mud scuffers, I would have liked that better than I remember going, yeah, show don't tell. You're also showing, so don't tell.
Well, since you asked, honestly, a lot of the Pershing stuff, especially early on in that scene, I felt like it just sort of plodded along. It was a lot of exposition. And it was like, that's what drew the line between Mandalorian and Andor for me. Like Andor, like I could just fast forward from dialogue to dialogue to dialogue because I loved it. And I'm not saying dialogue's wrong or bad or I don't like it because I do in Mandalorian, but yeah, I mean it was just felt exposition-y to me, just sort of like, and then this happened and this happened and this is what's happening and this is what's happening. And I mean, they're catching you up on, everything, like what the New Republic is now, which is great to know. But it wasn't as nuanced and subtle as the dialogue in Andor.
Yeah, you're right. That scene where he's kind of coming out of the presentation and he's being like swarmed by like that one guy who's like, New Republic or whatever, I can't keep it straight. And I'm like, that's why I keep it to myself. And I'm like, I had that same thought of like, oh, they're trying to do Andor, but it's not quite
right.
Andor,
but because that scene was in Andor. That was the cocktail party scene where, she's trying to gather, assistance against that new rule of the new law that the Empire was going to pass. And it was, it's the exact same scene really. And you can see the people that are like, no, it's great. Yeah. What's the difference? Resistance and all that. And it's the eye roll scene. But yeah, so maybe it's because I'd seen that scene before and I was like expected the bar has been raised, but
yeah. And that's the thing is like as we talked about, two very different shows. One's a show very much centered on dialogue and the other show is very much centered on action. Right. And I have to say, like, this felt like the most like a prequel movie I've seen on screen in all the ways, right? In all the good and all the less good ways. And I really loved it. I really appreciate it. Like, this gave me serious episode 2, episode 3 vibes on the Coruscant, and I was there for all of it, the highs and the lows.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Perrin's Man Bun Award for Best Drip.
Perrin's Man Bun. Let's go.
Best Drip episode.
So since we haven't done this yet, or I can't remember, it's like I've really come around on Bo-Katan's armor, and the fact that like I love that Vizsla calls her Night Owl.
Yeah.
That was her clan with the Night Owls.
That was her clan name, right? Yeah, and I love that callback, and it just for some reason I've just been kind of whatever about it, but now seeing it so much, I've like come around like, yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Can't argue with
that. Bo-Katan never goes to bed early. She's always
It's just coffee and literature and candlelight.
And pop soup.
Yeah, that's right. And Marbaksu lights or whatever.
What happened to her droid? Her droid's gone. As realized her droid got bombed.
Yeah, he got.
Oh, sorry to bum everyone out.
Yeah, bummer. Those mud slugs or whatever you guys said.
Mud scuffers.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I guess I'd have to hop on the Bo-Katan train for the drip because it's right. But I'm trying to think of someone else. But I don't know. I think the new. All right, this is another something slightly critical. I know you said that you loved...
I think I'm right there with you.
All
Go
right.
for it.
I know, Grant, you said you loved all the new Mandalorian, like the colors. I do like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like I think in earlier seasons they let like 501st people like actually use their armor and be extras. But I feel like now, if I'm guessing, they did it themselves. And they just lack the greeblies and the attention to detail to really like finish the look.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry. There's just something about it where they look a little hastily.
The costume design of the Mando armor. Wow. Okay.
I feel like it could be better. Better. Like one guy had a cape that looked really cool, and there was one guy that was like kind of in black, which like dark colors. He was on the ridge, like in sniper position, but then he was in the front in the meeting in the cave.
This is best drip category. Best drip.
Sorry. Sorry. I know.
There's really only a negative category for dialogue.
Okay, you're right. No one asked.
I agree, Ben.
Fine. I'm glad you brought it up now. We didn't just go through the podcast without hearing it because I loved it. I didn't. There nothing felt out of place for me. I guess you're right though. There's like not a like you'd think they'd have more going on with their helmets, like given Paz and the armor have such drastically different.
That's the thing. Look at like Paz looks great.
Paz looks great, and I think it's probably by design, right? They all have this hastily cobbled together armor. They probably haven't seen a lot of battle or been on a lot of adventures. I mean, this could be reforged armor from the last covert. But I mean, the armor looks amazing. But when you look at them next to Din Djarin, obviously he's got the sickest drip. And certainly Bo-Katan, she's had her armor forever, and it's all the colorations and the markings and things. I think they don't, and again, it's probably by design. They don't have the little greeblies that suggest they've lived these full lives and done all these great things yet. It's just very plain. And Paz Vizsla, obviously, he's tricked his out so that he's tanked. Yeah. But so it's probably by design. But yeah, I feel like that's.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't. So all right, I'll say that black painted Mandalorian is actually that was the best of the group.
I'm gonna go with New Republic security officers, like just to see them with their sweet like gloves and their
the helmets,
dorky helmets. I loved it. And the lead guy being so intimidating in that costume was just such a fun like clash of emotions. I was like, the costume looks ridiculous, but he's like dead serious.
Dead serious in this stupid outfit. Yo, they even showed in the like fair in Coruscant, they had a Rhodian wearing the outfit.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they just passed it for like 2 frames.
So so yeah,
it looks so
cool.
nerdy.
Yeah.
I guess that could be it. But I don't know if it was intentional, but I think that's the armor of oh my god, Alderaanian honor guards. They're the ones that we see in A New Hope.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so I don't know if that's just like to sort of honor them.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. All right, Grogu the Great. This is a new category. Best Grogu moment of the episode. Do we have one?
I mean, is whether this is the way or I have a bad feeling about this. That's my go-to.
Yeah, I think it's that moment as well. I think that's the only moment really we get. We don't get a lot.
Not ton of Grogu.
I'll throw another one in there at the beginning of the episode. Grogu, and I guess it's not a great moment, but Grogu might have sort of revived Din Djarin after his plunge into the living waters of Mandalore.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
because he's just right there and like puts a hand on him, and it's like subtle, but like I don't know if that was like Jedi CPR.
Yeah.
Also,
he
it's
has the healing touch.
If you're wearing a helmet, how do you get water out of your lungs, or does water enter your lungs, or does the thing seal itself, or does the helmet pull the water out of your lungs? I've got questions.
Yeah, lots of questions.
Got lots of logistical questions. This weapon is your life. Best weapon or gadget of the episode.
Wow, this might be like the least weapon heavy like Mandalorian episode ever. I'm trying to think of like other than like the blasters in the TIE fighter. What are you thinking, what are you thinking, Ben?
I think the 68 mitigator counts.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll probably jump on the TIE bombers. You don't see those a lot, and they're pretty cool, and they're actually using the TIE bombers to bomb. Which I appreciate.
Yeah. If we're gonna say if we're counting equipment, I'm gonna go Mind Flare.
Yeah.
Or that sweet proton torpedo that Mando like shoots at that TIE.
Yeah.
So awesome. Cool. She's Got to Wear Accounts. Best starship of the episode.
Oof.
Favorite starship from this episode, and any sort of vehicle, I guess.
I know I'm gonna be real basic, but it's the N1. Just because we get to see it in action, right? I'm not gonna call it every week, but this will probably be the one and only time I'll say it this season. But
I'll say the TIE interceptors because I'm pretty sure these are the first TIE interceptors we've seen in Mando. We've seen TIE fighters, but I don't know that we've seen TIE interceptors yet.
Yeah, because Moff Gideon's using a regular old TIE fighter, right? When he lands. Yeah, in the first season. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, good call. I'm just so used to seeing them now. Like they're such a staple in everything that I just like, oh, that's right. They are kind of new and cool.
And like the engine, like the sound design, it's not different from a regular TIE, right? It's a little bit more.
It's
a little different.
It's subtle. I mean, obviously they're twin ion engines, but it's slightly different design. I think they're faster is the idea.
Interesting. I'm gonna go with Bo's Mandalorian Starfighter. That sweet move she pulls where she like lifts one wing to like just fishtail around. Like that was awesome.
That was so great. Yeah.
Oh, and then the gravity maneuver on the inside, like it was like it lost gravity and poor R5 gets tossed around.
Oh yeah, then she like throttles up right when it hits the water. Right. Yeah, that was sweet. Like I'm gonna go best ship, hands down.
Yeah.
Scheduled for termination. Anyone going to die? Anyone marked for death after this episode? Are we worried about anyone in the future here?
Pershing.
Yeah, I mean,
I like what you were saying, Grant, about him sort of now being in this wild card to cause havoc.
Mad scientist trope.
Yeah.
Yep. I think Paz Vizsla's days are numbered.
Yeah. I think there's definitely got to be something climactic coming up with that character for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I would go Pershing as well. I gotta think that he's not gonna make it through this flip, and he does become part of this remnant, Imperial force that's out there. I can't imagine they're gonna let him live or like anything like that.
Yeah. I'm surprised he's been around this long. Because he's just not very competent with outside of a lab.
Yeah.
Right, but he is really smart. I mean, suddenly he could become formidable if he was a malevolent force, and then it's like Grogu who cancels him.
Yeah.
Just ends him.
Yeah. Could be. That'd be some pretty sweet revenge.
Yeah.
Retribution.
Well, let's end with a heavy one. Memeable moment. What was the memeable moment of the episode for you?
I mean,
yeah.
Taungsdays.
Yeah.
Right?
Taungsday. Am I right? Yeah. Yeah.
Not
like,
Pershing going, it's a trap to a Mon Calamari as he's being put under electrolysis. Not that one.
Oh my god.
And there was a beat there too. Was that technician are you being racist to me right now?
Put him
you know
Do
you
we all
can't
look
say
the
that.
same?
Can we hurry this up?
Not cool, man.
Not cool.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That's pretty great. Yeah, I love that. Taungsday, am I right? It's just like I just want that everywhere. I just want to keep sending it out to people whenever it's just like whatever day is a bad day.
Right? Yeah. We're doing that every Monday on the Twitter, by the way. That's just gonna be obligatory tweet.
Taungsday, am I right?
Yeah.
Fun.
I mean, name of the episode for sure.
Yeah. No, I think so. That's a great name.
Yeah.
All right.
Great medal ceremony, guys.
Thank you, Grant, for putting that together. That was super fun. It's always fun. So we'll keep it going for the upcoming episodes. Can't wait for next week. It'll be a blast. And then, like we said, we'll catch up on 2 episodes of Bad Batch. I think they should marry together quite well. And then after that, there'll be 2-episode finale.
Season finale. Yeah.
So that's fantastic. And then, there's a book coming the way too. But I'm getting
There's books, there's comics. We got a lot to get caught up on.
Blade.
Yeah, the Blade.
Republic,
I think most of them
Star Wars main run, Afro Bounty Hunters.
Afro Bounty Hunters. Yeah, Bounty Hunters had a short little run. Staros. Yeah, there are suddenly a lot of comics. Yeah.
Training comics. I'm looking forward to dipping back into those because they're fantastic stories, and they end up, synergizing with what we're watching and filling in the gaps and asking new questions and expanding the galaxy and all the things that I love about Star Wars. So hope you're enjoying the run and enjoying Star Wars like we are. And we will talk to you next week. Take care, and may the Force be with you.
This is Grex Kondak signing off. For the latest breaking news, follow @CoreWorldNews on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you, and good night.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.